So if you guys haven't been following gaming news, Battlefield 2042 has officially launched worldwide after one of the most controversial early access periods of all time. Bugs, performance, and balancing issues just plagued the early release as a lot of gamers went online to not only attack the game, but to rigorously defend it as well. I myself was not a fan of the game. Performance issues, balancing just ruined the experience with all of the bugs, and as always, I was met with a flood of comments attacking my opinion and fans of the game finding any sort of loophole or any sort of way to discredit my thoughts. That is, until y'all played it, huh?
Well, well, well. How the turntables...
Battlefield 2042 is officially out now, and with the highly anticipated, the coveted, the praying to the gods day one patch releasing yesterday, among other smaller changes to some end-of-round animations, they've implemented server-side upgrades that are targeted at reducing instances of rubber banding, often experienced in the later part of a round in all-out warfare. They've also significantly reduced instances of stuttering when playing on breakaway. But is this enough for a AAA launch product in 2021? I think you all know the answer. DICE is planning on releasing another 2 patches in the next 30 days. Their Twitter comm channel gives us some insight as to what they're bringing to the table, being able to revive soldiers when a down player is touching any sort of wall or geometry. They're adding vehicle balancing, specifically in regards to the hovercraft, adding a lighter armor, lowering its health, and tuning down the weaponry. Basically, things that should have been done months ago in internal QA are now coming after you've already spent $70 to $110. That's it. The game's performance for me has increased slightly, running at around 45 to 55 FPS and dipping down to around 40 when things get really sticky. Now, I'm not expecting 300 FPS on my hardware, but a smoother experience all around is what I wanted, and they're getting closer. It's just not quite there yet. The game still features plenty of bugs though. Vehicles glitching underground, teammates appearing as enemies, dead bodies glitching to be able to walk up behind and knife them still. Random bullet deviation and weapon bloom is still a thing, and it's still really, really bad. I was doing some testing in Portal, and if you're coming out of sprint and you aim to shoot at an enemy in a fast-paced FPS where you're going to be doing this a lot, you're fucked. You need to stop moving, aim, and fire from there to get the game to toggle and signal that you're getting back to standing still accuracy. Also, as I'm editing this right now, look at the time that it takes for this bullet to travel from the barrel of the gun to the head after it kicks. The bullet velocity in this game needs to be tweaked so bad. You can really feel it on the rockets as well, but seeing it here laid out in front of me, it's crazy. So if you're sprinting, you aim up, and there's a guy running to your right, good luck on hitting him. How this made it past QA from a team of what everyone says is the best FPS developers blows my fucking mind. If you're fans of Battlefield 2042 and you might be on certain subreddits or online at all, there's a list going around where they basically broke down everything that's either been removed or downgraded from previous Battlefield games in 2042, and it's crazy that this stuff isn't being talked about in any sort of review or any sort of the bigger EA game changers covering this topic. We're going to get into that a little bit later. Core features that have either been removed or downgraded. There's no single player story or campaign, we know that. There's no standard server browser. There's fewer standardized game modes in 2042. We can't even play TDM or smaller scale modes without making community servers in Portal. We literally have Breakthrough and we have Conquest. There's no hardcore mode in the standard 2042 experience. There's no persistent lobbies. There's no class system. There's less character customization options than Battlefield 5. There's no profile progress / stats page in the menu. So if you want to go and see your overall stats, like your kill death, anything like that, there's just nothing. You can't even do that. There's no global leaderboards. There's no dog tags, even though they showed that in the original trailer that came out. The guy knifed him and stole his dog tags. It's not something that's really here. There's fewer guns. Even when I say there's 22 weapons at launch and you have all the diehards just, well, look at all the ones in Portal. If you include every single weapon that is in Battlefield 2042 across all modes, Battlefield 4 still had more weapons at launch. I don't give a shit that people play the meta gun and there's only need for a couple of two. However you decide, for the ones who don't want to play meta, you're depriving them of content. There's fewer gadgets, there's no leaning, there's no diving while swimming, there's no high wall vaulting, there's no crouch sprinting. Sometimes when I was playing, I couldn't move while I was prone at all. There's no such thing as scope zeroing in this game. In terms of squad and teamwork, which is what I usually play Battlefield for, I'm not a solo player. Squad and teamwork are the reasons why I go to games like this, but there's no commander. There's no special squad call-in abilities. There's no squad field upgrades. There's not even voice chat. It's coming soon, apparently, but not at launch. I started up Portal with somebody in my party to go and get some footage just with us two, and you can't even switch teams. There's no option to change teams. You can't create new squads. If you want to jump into a different squad, a specific squad, you can't. When you're laying dead on the ground, you don't even know if there's a medic or somebody nearby. It doesn't tell you how close somebody is that has the ability to res you. So everybody's just skipping and just redeploying because they don't know how long. Nobody sees them on the ground. It's just an absolute joke. The maps are so much more built and suited for vehicle gameplay, and I understand that it's Battlefield, but if you're an infantry player, you're going to be put just far out. And jumping back into Portal, you can see just how well those maps were built to encompass both vehicle and infantry gameplay. 2042's 7 maps that you get at launch are all focused on vehicles first. Sometimes, and I said this before, when you add 128 players to the mix, sometimes bigger is not better. You want to know who else thought that? Patrick Sutherland. When they put out Battlefield 3, I saw a picture going around in which he did an interview talking about how they did a test. He's quoted here saying, "A lot of people ask us about 64 versus 128 or 256. Technically, we can go to 256. They said they've actually tried it." Now, keep in mind, this was back when Battlefield 3 came out, arguably the best in the franchise. They said they play tested with 128. You've got to make a game that's fun to play, and arguably, we think that the most fun you can have is when it's between 32 and 40 players. They say they've done substantial research into this and tested that 128, it's just not fun. This is the boss of DICE back when Battlefield 3 came out, back in a time where I think Battlefield was just at its fucking peak. And they've been quoted, people wanting to go back to Bad Company 2, they've been quoted as not understanding why people liked it and how they can make that kind of come back and be good. They don't know how to recapture the magic. And I think Battlefield 2042 specifically just shows how far out of touch these developers are. Take away the core issues for a moment in the gameplay, talking about just like the UI and the quality of life. We can choose to toggle the HUD on and off, which I do like, but we have no options for HUD scaling, no HUD icon opacity customization. So everything is always just in your face when you're playing these bigger maps. You're looking around and everything is just so bright, vibrant, in your face, and you don't know what you're looking at. Countless times today, I was playing with my editor, Oogly Duff, and he was having trouble kind of spawning where I was at the beginning of games because everything is just so clustered and you can't zoom in on your spawn map. I will say a lot of people have been complaining about the audio in the game in terms of hearing, players yelling or moving left and right and being able to kind of pinpoint if they're on my right or on my left. I actually don't have that much of a problem. There were instances where I'm like, I didn't even hear this guy run up, but for the most part, it's not bad. It's not fucking great by any means, but compared to everything else in the game, I can't actually focus a lot of complaints there. That being said, the soundtrack in this game is dull. It's fucking tedious. And I don't understand why, if you're winning, they hit this weird little, whining ooh type music on you, like you're losing, like you're in a dire situation.
The objective's under guard. We're doing it.
Trying to deploy on you. I'm on you. Coming up to you.
Supply drop ready to go.
Even though you're kicking their fucking ass, like 400 tickets up to 0, it sounds like you're losing. And then on top of everything else when it comes to audio, this is more of a design choice. They put out that live action trailer to kind of add to the lore and the grittiness of what Battlefield 2042 is. These large superpowers have kind of collapsed, so it's like no pats. Everyone's just kind of fighting for survival. And then the characters at the end of the games are just like, that was wild, huh? Like they're happy to be there.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
Spectacular.
It just doesn't vibe with the tone that they were advertising this game to be. Basically, this game feels like if you sat a bunch of devs in the room and told them to make a game based on what you think common trends are in the gaming space. It feels like it was a battle royale turned into a Battlefield game. There's rumors that it was. There's things like at the end of the game, you look and you can see your squad ranking. Like your squad ranked 13 out of 33. Who gives a shit? Why that is there kind of leads me to believe that this was originally built to be a battle royale and then shifted to become the worst Battlefield experience that I think I've ever played. And this is coming from someone who played Hardline. Now, at the time of recording this video, the game is sitting at mostly negative on Steam with 16,000 reviews. And I actually think that's a pretty accurate, review or a representation of how I feel about the game. It's not the worst game I've ever played, but as somebody who expected, a Battlefield game to live up to even some semblance of a AAA development team working on it, pretty disappointed, man. But not as disappointed as when I saw this image today on the subreddit, Battlefield 2042, and it shows a lot of reviews for the game and, showing off 100 score, a literal perfect score from EGM. Tech Radar giving this game a 4 out of 5. Now, I haven't heard of a lot of these other companies. I've heard of Digital Trends giving it a 90, and I've also heard of COG Connected or COG Connected giving it a 90 as well. How in God's green earth could you have played Battlefield 2042, especially before today's launch patch, and give that game a 9 out of 10 or a perfect 10? NVIDIA was going to sponsor a video for me to cover Battlefield using one of their RTX. They sent me a 3070 to record and talk about this game and basically showcase how good the game is on an RTX card. They sent me the card, and then I played the game, and I told them that there's no way I can do this. There's just no fucking way. They told me that once the game gets better, maybe we can showcase the game in the future using the RTX technology. But for now, let's just wait and see. And kudos to NVIDIA for doing that. And this is why I'm bringing it up, because they could have just been like, fuck you, send it back. We're not going to work with you. But they're waiting for the game to get in a better state. I have the moral obligation to you guys to tell you if the game's good or not. And I'm probably not going to be invited to any sort of EA testing in the future, but at the end of the day, at least you know when you watch the channel that you're getting my honest thoughts on whatever it is that I'm talking about. I'm really disappointed in not only the journalists that are out here writing rave reviews for a broken piece of software at its core, but some of the content creators here that are showcasing this game in the positivest of light that they could, and then once it comes out, well, actually, guys, hey, it's got some serious issues that we probably should have talked about beforehand. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys like the video, leave a like on it, subscribe for more. The game still needs 6 months worth of work. I think there was a YouTuber that said they should delay it can't remember what his name was. The game just feels like if it were releasing in November, we're playing a build from a year ago at this point. Now, they say that a whole bunch of progress has been made. That's great. They also said they were ahead of schedule and then a delay came. I don't really trust them at this point, and I only have this beta build to go off of. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.